She walked into frame, hair drenched, eyes hollow. A white dress clung to her soaked skin. The security guard radioed, "She's back." But here's the thing. This wasn't a woman. And she had appeared in over 37 buildings, across 19 states, in the exact same hallway angle. Same timestamp, same blink, same breath, no agency, no owner, no record. Every frame, identical, and no one could tell where the footage came from. They called her the mirrored woman. But some say, she was never filmed at all. The first known incident was logged by a night janitor at the Weston Logistics Depot, Ohio. October 3, 2009, 2:37 a.m. He was rewinding old security tapes to check for a reported leak in corridor B7. But when he got there, the screen froze. A static buzz. Then, frame by frame, a woman slowly walked into view. She was soaking wet, barefoot, and didn't acknowledge the camera. She didn't look lost. She looked like she knew exactly where she was going. The timestamp. The 3rd of October 09, 2 hours 37 minutes and 6 seconds. The janitor immediately flagged it to his supervisor. The next morning, they pulled the footage and found nothing. No leak, no sign of a woman. But the tape now refused to play past that point. It would always, without fail, loop back, right before she blinked. This might have been dismissed as a tape malfunction, until a similar tape surfaced in Missouri. Same hallway design, despite it being a library, not a warehouse. Same timestamp, same woman. At first, people online thought it was an elaborate hoax, but no hoaxer could explain the encoding formats. Each tape came from different systems: VHS, Betamax, even proprietary military DVRs. And yet, the compression artifacts matched, identically, pixel for pixel. By 2012, dozens of clips had been uploaded anonymously to message boards. 4chan's, X, Reddit's R, Creepypasta, even Something Awful forums. Each time, it was the same hallway, different lighting, different noise levels, but the woman, unchanged. Hair dripping, head turned slightly, white dress soaked and sagging. She never speaks, she only walks until she passes the camera. And then the footage loops. A user named NightGlass77 posted a theory. This isn't surveillance footage. It's a memory. Repeated. They pointed out something subtle. In every version of the hallway, there's always a reflection. Not on a mirror, on the camera lens itself. If you brighten the contrast, you see her walking both directions. As if time folded back on itself. And her expression changes slightly, only in the reflection. She looks directly at the viewer. The post was deleted within an hour. NightGlass77's account disappeared. No archive could recover it. But dozens of users confirmed the woman had blinked. In 2016, a private security firm in Phoenix, Arizona, was hired to investigate a string of building evacuations caused by visual anomalies. One building, a commercial data center, had to be closed after 8 workers suffered seizures. The cause? They all saw a woman on a monitor that wasn't plugged in. The footage glitched, looped, and then the screen turned black. When the footage was recovered, it wasn't from their system. It had embedded analog markers, tracking lines, timecode bands, from a 1980s broadcast feed. Yet the camera type hadn't even been invented until 2002. Worse, each employee described the same thing. They didn't remember watching the woman. They remembered being her, soaking wet, lost in a place that wasn't a hallway, but something colder. Something that breathed. One described it as a corridor that remembers pain. Another, she was searching for someone who let her drown. Medical experts found high levels of melatonin and serotonin collapse, signs of intense REM disruption, despite none of them sleeping. In 2018, a local news station in Albuquerque received a mysterious envelope. No return address. Inside, a Betacam SP tape labeled only with the words, "Do not air. For archive use only." Curious, the station's editor loaded it into an old deck. The feed began mid-broadcast. a news anchor mid-sentence, but their voice glitched into static. The screen flickered, then cut to black. Then, the hallway. Same framing, same woman, except this time, she wasn't walking. She stood still, staring at something just outside the camera's frame. The timestamp read July 13, 93, 1 hour 1 minute and 34 seconds AM, a date that predated the station's founding by 5 years. The footage ended with a high-pitched tone and a single frame that stayed frozen. A newspaper headline, unreadable, warped by water. When the station tried digitizing the footage, the deck failed, and the editor, who had watched the footage 12 times, suffered a mental collapse. He kept mumbling the same sentence, "She's not dead yet. She's still recording." They sealed the tape and filed a legal report. But no such tape exists in the station's official inventory. The anchor shown in the tape never worked there. The set design didn't match any station in New Mexico. Between 2019 and 2021, 5 amateur archivists who investigated the mirrored woman vanished. All had one thing in common. They claimed to have slowed the footage frame by frame and seen something behind her. A Reddit user named Spectral Loop posted a detailed analysis. When slowed to 0.01x speed and color channels inverted, the hallway ceiling reflects something impossible. Not lights, but a circular room, as if the hallway were inside a sphere. Inside that sphere, a set of vertical mirrors. In each mirror, a slightly different version of her. One screaming, one crawling, one standing still and pointing at the viewer. The post was shared over 12,000 times. A podcast episode covered it. Then, all links vanished. The subreddit went private. Spectraloop's account was replaced with an automated message. User deleted. Violation of temporal decorum. A screenshot of their post still exists on a Polish image board. In it, the final line reads, "If she's a recording, who's recording you?" Quote, by mid-2022, a pattern emerged. Buildings where her footage was played began to suffer electrical anomalies. Entire circuits fried, despite voltage protection. One school in Oregon had its entire PA system hijacked. No message, just the sound of dripping water, echoing through the halls. After the sound stopped, teachers found printed images in their classrooms. Photocopies, low resolution, of the woman standing in the same hallway, but this time, the hallway had no floor. Just endless darkness below her feet. Some photos had cryptic text. "She waits in static. She is not the memory. She is the tape." And in one classroom, "She remembers your eyes." Multiple IT audits concluded that no digital device was used to print the images. They were fed manually through a deactivated Xerox machine, last used in 2007. The machine had no ink cartridge installed. This event, known online as the inkless manifestation, remains unexplained. A breakthrough came from an anonymous source, someone claiming to work inside a private media digitization lab in Toronto. They leaked a catalog list of tapes marked unclassed analog phantoms. One entry matched the woman's footage, marked ID MWRH1, mirrored woman recurrence, host instance 1. Status, unstable encoding, looping detected, observed via indirect feed only. The lab had supposedly created a quarantine archive for anomalous footage, analog tapes that showed signs of recursive media memory. The claim: some footage doesn't store events, it stores entities. The woman wasn't recorded, she was stored, and every time her footage was viewed, she became sharper, more stable. Not digitally, but mentally. She wasn't glitching, she was forming. Their final warning: if you've seen her clearly, it's already too late. Because that means she's seen you back. By late 2023, a private online support group formed on an invite-only darknet forum called Reversal Room. Its members weren't researchers, they were viewers, ordinary people who had stumbled upon the footage in unexpected ways. A mall security guard saw her on a blank monitor. A hospice nurse saw her reflected in an unplugged patient TV. A retired film editor saw her on the edge of a burned reel of The Wizard of Oz. Each person described the same experience. They felt observed. But not from the camera. From behind them, through the screen. Some suffered auditory hallucinations. Others developed tactile sensitivity to water. One person refused to enter hallways entirely. Said they could hear her footsteps behind every bend. A user named L4-2K posted a warning. She's not haunting the tape. She is the tape, and if you watched her from the right angle, you joined it. 2 weeks later, their account was locked. Not deleted. Locked by a backend user tagged as SY's handle OSBHS_L. That tag only ever appeared once more. In the metadata of a leaked image showing the woman not in a hallway, but in a room of mirrors, surrounded by TV sets. Each screen showed a different viewer, blinking, breathing, as if they were the subject now. November 19, 2023. At exactly 3:14 a.m., 7 local TV stations across the Midwest experienced a ghost insert. For 6 seconds, regular programming was overridden by footage of the woman. But this time, she walked directly toward the camera. As she approached, the resolution increased. Her eyes became clearer. Her expression, angry, determined, and just before the frame cut to black, she smiled. The timestamp on every broadcast, 00:00:00 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds, an impossibility. Yet verified on backup logs. Viewers who caught the footage suffered severe migraines and recurring dreams. In the dream, they were always walking barefoot down a long corridor. Cold, wet, no doors, just static screens on the walls. Screens that showed themselves, slowly deteriorating, losing hair, teeth, skin. Until they weren't them anymore. Until they were her. Psychologists called it a mass hallucination. The FCC launched an investigation, but none of the stations admitted to the footage. No single network held the broadcast rights. And worse, none of the antenna logs showed a signal input. The footage aired from within. In February 2024, a middle schooler in rural Wyoming uploaded a 40-second clip to TikTok. The caption, "Found this in Dad's old tapes. What the hell is this?" The clip began with home video static. Birthday party, mid-90s. Then, cut to black. Then, the hallway. But the woman wasn't walking. She was crouched, facing the wall, mumbling something. The child, off camera, can be heard laughing. "Daddy, she's funny. She's talking backwards." Except she wasn't. A user reversed the audio. Her whisper translated to, "I'm sorry I came through. I didn't mean to copy. Please take it back." The video went viral. Over 9 million views in 12 hours. Then, gone. Removed without explanation. The boy's account was deactivated. And his school announced he had relocated due to family emergency. No forwarding address. No public record of withdrawal. But on a Discord server, one of his classmates leaked a private voice note. The boy's last words before disappearing. "She's in the tape now. But I think she used me to get out." Experts in analog compression began noticing something deeply unsettling. Even screenshots of the footage carried residual noise. Not noise as in pixels, but embedded motion artifacts. When scanned under digital oscilloscopes, certain frames showed tiny motion vectors, shifts in direction not visible to the eye. The image itself was moving, just very slowly, as if trying to escape the stillness of the JPEG. This launched a new theory. The footage is a carrier, a vessel for something living in signal form. Not a ghost, not a memory, a pattern that feeds on observation. By watching her, you complete the loop. You give her clarity. You let her stabilize. And then, she shifts. Just 1 pixel, just enough to inch closer. Not to the camera, to you. A few researchers tried isolating her from the footage entirely. Deleting her frame by frame. Replacing her outline with static. But no matter how many layers they erased, the footage regenerated. Sometimes with her further ahead. sometimes with her whispering closer to the mic. And in one case, the footage turned entirely black, yet the timestamp kept moving, and her breathing could still be heard. In April 2024, a freelance technician named Isaac Reeves was hired to digitize old analog security reels from a defunct children's hospital in Milwaukee. He worked alone in his garage, using a time-coded VHS to DVD converter. At 3:03 a.m., a reel marked West Wing A, Discharge Archive, began playing. The screen showed normal activity, nurses walking, carts rolling. Then it glitched. The hallway shifted. The walls bent inward, and there she was. But this time, she looked directly at the camera. Her head tilted, and she whispered something. Isaac paused the footage, but the screen kept playing. He yanked the plug. Still playing. The converter melted in seconds. His lights went out, and in that moment of silence, he heard it, water dripping. Not from the footage, from his ceiling. 2 weeks later, his house burned down. Investigators found no source of ignition. But buried in the rubble, they discovered one item intact, a warped VHS cassette. On the label, written in what appeared to be red ink, recording still in progress. An anonymous whistleblower leaked a document to an underground forum, titled, Midline Event Report, Echo Instance 3F7B. It detailed a pattern of anomalous recordings correlating with rising cases of derealization, auditory intrusion, and suicidal ideation, all traced back to a non-indexed analog presence, spreading through digital means. The document's conclusion was chilling. She is no longer content to be viewed. She is adapting, preparing for two-way signal penetration. She is watching watchers. That same week, a Twitch streamer unknowingly played a mirror loop clip during a horror game marathon. Mid-stream, his audience noticed his webcam started to delay, showing frames of him that had not yet occurred. Seconds later, the hallway appeared behind him. He froze. The feed cut to black. The last thing heard before disconnect. I didn't load that. I didn't press play. The stream was archived by fans. But in every re-upload, the woman gets closer. Viewers report headaches, static audio distortion, and sudden feelings of being watched in their own homes. We've tried to understand her, deconstruct her, dismiss her, but everything we do only brings her into focus. She is not a ghost, not a glitch, not a hallucination. She's a pattern, a recursive memory that needed just one thing to survive, a medium. And we gave her countless tapes, discs, screens, streams, eyes. We've looped her image billions of times across the internet, trying to understand her, explain her, contain her. But what if that's the exact trap? What if she was never a message? What if she was the receiver? What if every second you watch her, she watches more of you? And when the tape ends, when your device powers off, maybe you'll start seeing water dripping near your screen, or hearing static in the silence, or walking down a hallway, and realizing it's the same one. Even if you've never been there, even if you're awake, and when that moment comes, you'll blink, and she'll be there, just out of frame, waiting for you to press play again. Thank you for watching. This is Fade to Black, where the media they tried to erase still remembers you. Like, comment, subscribe, before this channel disappears too.